Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing, all the way from Lithuania. I'm on holiday there for a week. Thought I'd do a few videos, not least of all because we have Canelo Alvarez, who you may have heard of. He's fighting Edgar Berlanga on Saturday night. It'll be the early hours of Sunday morning if you're in the UK. And on the surface of it, this does look like a sort of straightforward defense for Alvarez, because Edgar Berlanga comes in with a very flashy record, which is 22 wins with 17 KOs, no draws, no defeats. And he won his first, now was it 18 or 19 contests with one-round knockouts. He went on this incredible run, destroying everyone. And it was a who's who of he. Who is he? It was one of those sort of, journeyman, kind of like Deontay Wilder did for much of his career, knocking out no-hopers, journeyman guys with, occasionally he had someone with a glossy record, like Cesar Nunes was 16-1-1 when Berlanga did him. That was back in 2019. But he sort of built up this record. And then he bumped into Dimon Nicholson and was taken the 8-round distance for the first occasion in his career. I watched that fight, and I want to say did he have Nicholson on the floor quite early, or he rattled him or something? But Nicholson got up and went the distance. And Dimon Nicholson, is a pretty decent gatekeeper type. At the time, I think he was 23 wins, 3 defeats and 1 draw. But he put the mockers on this, run of first-round knockouts, was the first person to take Berlanga the distance. But from then on, Berlanga wasn't scoring any KOs. And it was kind of flipped on its head, this whole image of the absolute, sharpshooting killer destroying everyone. Because he then went the distance with Marcelo Conceres, I think the guy's name is, who is, again, he's one of those decent gatekeeper types. He came in with 30 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw. I think was he the guy who fought Billy Joe Saunders and got stopped late? He was giving Saunders all he could handle and he got stopped late. Or am I thinking of a different fighter? I think it is him. But Caceres he took him the distance, 10 rounds. Then Steve Rolls took Berlanga the distance over 10. Again, a decent fighter, but not kind of fringe world level. And another one of his distance fights over 12, I think it was Jason Quigley. And Quigley, again, a decent record, 20 wins, 2 defeats, but not really someone that you would think is a world-class fighter. You'd think he was more... more of a gatekeeper type, someone who's going to give you rounds, going to give you problems. But if you're a real one-punch killer like Berlanga was supposed to be, you'd expect him to get rid of Quigley, Rolls, Caceres. All these fighters they're decent. And then he finally got a stoppage over Paddy McCrory, who came in, he was undefeated in 18. He came in and Berlanga stopped him in 6 rounds. And that was early this year, back in February. And that set up the Canelo Alvarez fight. But that was after a run of 5 or 6 unanimous decision victories. So he got his first KO since 2020, earlier this year. Over 3.5 years, I think it might have been, without a single KO. He gets the KO over McCrory. And there's no doubt that he's got power. I mean, even if you look at all this sort of endless parade of journeymen and kind of non-entities, yeah, he's got power, but is it one-punch power? Is it like, I mentioned Wilder earlier on. Whatever you say about Wilder and his shortcomings, he had that one trick, which was a hell of a trick. It was that beautiful laser-like right hand. He'd blind you with a jab and bang, over comes the right and Bob's your uncle, But I don't get that. I didn't see that with Berlanga. Even when he was knocking out, a one-round fight tells you nothing about a fighter except maybe he can punch. And then what is interesting about Berlanga is he doesn't seem to have a particular hand that he favours. Do you know what I mean? He's big for the weight, and if you see him standing next to Canelo, he's big for the weight. He does come across as being, he's very, very physical, but it was more a case of swarming the opponents and getting all over them and, two-handed attacks that would just stop them. And there's some power there. But once he bumped into people like, Quigley, Nicholson, people like this who could defend themselves, who could soak up a bit of punishment, who were crafty, who had a bit of nous, a bit of ring IQ, suddenly Berlanga was like, okay, what am I doing now then? The powers, I'm just going to keep trying to knock them out. With Berlanga, I don't see any sort of high ring IQ, high ability to adapt. He's never struck me as the sort of person who has a plan B, C, D. If the plan A, which is to knock you out, don't work, I'll move on to plan B, to plan C, to plan D. I'll adapt on. I don't see any of that with Berlanga. Not really. I didn't see much with Wilder, to be honest with you, but at least Wilder, you always felt he had that one-punch equaliser. With Berlanga, I'm not convinced it's there. I'm really not. Hard hitter, but the physicality. I mean, the thing about Wilder was he was so much lighter than the land of the giants heavyweights that we now have. He's really like a 215 sort of guy, but he could knock big fellas over. I mean, he put Fury on the floor 4 times. I know he lost 2 of the fights and got a draw, which should have been a win for Fury. But he did have very genuine power. Berlanga, heavy hands, but it's more of that cement-like, rather than the sharpshooting, it's that thudding cement-like. I always think of George Foreman, that type of power. Not really a sharpshooter for me. Now, of course, that brings us to Canelo. I don't need to talk much about Canelo because you know all about him. I'm sure you do. But Canelo, having been at, super middleweight for however many years it is, having unified the entire division, having beaten everyone up, nevertheless, he is 34 now. So let's play devil's advocate and try and make a case for Berlanga to win the fight. Canelo is 34 now. He was last seen outpointing the previously undefeated Jaime Munguia, who was 43-0 and no wins, no defeats, no draws, 43 wins coming in. I think that was a very good performance by Canelo, very good, because he handled a young, fiery, confident opponent with a very glossy, undefeated record, whose confidence would have been very high. He took the younger fella almost to school. I mean, and he adapted well, and his footwork was good. He was always positioned correctly, fired both hands with a lot of intent, crafty as hell, set traps for Munguia, and basically old manned him, And Munguia will be a better fighter for that defeat. He will learn from that defeat, just like Canelo learned from being old man by Floyd back years ago. But he's also, Jamel Charlo, he was on the floor, but he managed to go the distance over 12. John Ryder was on the floor, managed to get up and last the distance. These are clear wins for Canelo, but he is going the distance. And in fact, you have to go back to Caleb Plant, which was the fight before he lost to Bivol, to find a Canelo stoppage, which was in the 11th of a 12 round. Obviously, a 12 round is a world title fight. And that was in 2021. Can't remember the month. Was it quite late? Quite late in the year, back end of 2021, I think it was. And Plant, again, very, very crafty, but again, Canelo caught up with him. Canelo is such an intelligent fighter in the ring. He knows which punches to fire at what time. Doesn't really seem to waste anything. He's got a great deal of patience, but at the same time, he will let his hands go when he needs to. I mean, I know Kovalev was not the Kovalev of old when he got knocked out by Canelo. But he was winning rounds in that fight. And Canelo was very patient and precise and set the traps. And he knew when to fire what punches, which is a real art, the art of boxing and indicates a very high ring IQ. So how do I think this fight's going to go? Look, I only see one winner, and that's Canelo, unless he's regressed badly. At 34, I mean, bear in mind, did he turn pro at 15 as a super feather? Something like that. So 19 years of fighting as a pro, I mean, that takes its toll. And if you look at his record, I mean, he's had a lot of fights by the modern day standard. You know, he's had 65 fights, 61 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 39 KOs. He's now at the stage where he doesn't have to knock people out. And of course, if you have that high ring IQ and you can adapt, just like Floyd did. I mean, Floyd had 2 careers. He had the pretty boy career where he was zapping people and looking brilliant doing it. And then as he moved up in weight and got older, he completely adapted his game to where he was winning the little individual contests, which are the rounds, winning far more than the other guys were winning. I mean, his last KO, I mean, I'll throw out the fucking that stupid event, the McGregor fight, but his real last stoppage was against Ricky Hatton. Hatton, of course, undefeated, coming in, good body puncher, and Floyd stopped him in, was it 10? And the rest of his fights, apart from that stupid circus with McGregor, were point. Oh, no, he knocked out. Did he stop? No, he stopped, what's his name? No, I'm wrong, aren't I? He did have a stoppage after that against the guy who headbutted him. I can't remember his bloody name now. You know the guy I mean. Yeah, but the point I'm making is that most of his fights were distance fights. He was quite happy to go the distance. And it seems to me like Canelo has got that similar mindset. I know enough now to pace myself. Yeah, I'm a bit older. Maybe I'm slightly slower. Maybe maybe I am over that little peak and I'm coming down the mountain now, but I'm not that far down it. I actually think Canelo, I think in this fight, Canelo's I think Berlanga's made for him, to be honest with you. Berlanga will probably come in looking to rough him up. He's talking a good game. And again, if you see them standing next to each other, Berlanga is a big unit. But Canelo, if he's on his game and if he hasn't regressed and if he hasn't taken this guy seriously, if he hasn't taken this guy lightly, I should say, if he's taken him seriously, he should be able to pot shot and break down Berlanga pretty quickly because Berlanga's going to come at him. And Canelo don't mind that. Canelo's got a fantastic chin. I think with Canelo, he's going to be pot shotting, counter punching, and then after the first round, he normally has a look in the first round, doesn't he, at the guy. I think he'll start going to the work, and I think you'll see some good body work from Canelo as well. Chopping down Berlanga, softening him up, slowing him down, draining his fuel tank. And I honestly see Berlanga desperately trying to clip Canelo, desperately trying to beat him up. There's going to be a fair bit of macho stuff from Berlanga. I think he's 27 only, Berlanga, so he's not that old. But stylistically, I think he's made for Canelo. He's saying he's going to knock him out, beat him up. I see it the other way around. I think Canelo will, again, old man him, but there's going to be some savage work from Canelo in this fight, I think, especially to the body. I think he'll chop down Berlanga in about 5 or 6 rounds. I can see him knocking Berlanga out. I don't mean stone cold. That could happen, but I think it'll be more a case of him just busting him up, smashing him over, and the ref will eventually stop it. Maybe the corner will throw the towel in, I don't know. But I think it will cease to be competitive after 2 or 3 rounds, and I think Canelo will do him in about 5 or 6. I'll go for the 5th round. I'll say Canelo will stop him in 5, 6. I'll go for the 5th. I like to pick around, so I'll go for the 5th. But what do you think? Do you think Berlanga's got any real chance of winning? I wouldn't entirely dismiss him. I mean, I make this a sort of 80-20 fight. But what do you think? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. And if you do pick Berlanga, tell me why. All right? Tell me why you think Berlanga's going to win this fight, because I'm interested to hear your opinion. Maybe you're seeing something I'm not. Doubt it, but I only see one winner. Anyway, thank you for all your time, as always. And please, if you're new, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And I'm really looking forward to reading what you've got to say. Are you looking forward to the fight, or do you think it's a foregone conclusion, or maybe you think there's an upset on the horizon? You tell me what you think. I'll read your comments and answer. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and bye for now.